happening, everybody? To welcome everybody out. Oh, thanks, Jersey. I guess you can all hear me and see me and stuff, looks like. So, yeah, I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight. And we're going to be going over a kind of a somewhat simplified rendition of this song. So, as you can see by the title, that we are going to be doing Golden State Motel by the Seagulls. So so hopefully you can read between the lines. Those are just that's one particular band and song that they frown upon. So we are going to call it something else. All right. So to be in the same key that they're in, you'll need a capo. Have it on the 2nd fret. And so like when everything I'm calling out for frets and stuff, that is in reference to the capo being on the 2nd fret. So like if I say the 3rd fret with the capo on, that's technically the 5th fret, but we're still going to call it the 3rd fret just for simplicity. All right. So first, let's just go over some of the chords that we're going to be using in this. We're not going to be I'm not going to go over all the chords right now just for this one part because we're going to kind of break it down into sections. Usually play a capo on the 7th fret. Yeah, that's like the way that they originally do it, I believe. So how I ended up coming about this rendition was when I first learned the song, I didn't know, it never even occurred to me that they were capoing it. So I went through and I learned it all with bar chords and figured out that if you just put a capo on the 2nd fret, it makes it like a whole bunch easier to be able to play it. Hi, Chris in Kansas. All right, so chords that we're going to be using for this, we've got A minor. So these are all just basic open chords. Hopefully, you already know all of these. I'm not going to go into detail on every single chord because most of them are chords that hopefully you already know. So we've got A minor, and then we've got E7. So for those of you who don't know that, maybe don't know 7th chords yet, if you just take your E major chord and remove your 3rd finger so that way that the D string is open, that's E7. Then we've got G major. So with this G major, you might play it this way, the way that I typically play it, where I'm on the 3rd fret of the B string in lieu of the B string being open. But either way, here's with the B string open, here's with the 3rd fret on the B string. Either way is fine. Both ways sound good. It's just I'm pretty used to doing it this way, and I personally just like the way the chord sounds better that way. What do you guys think? Do you have a preference on that particular? Because voicing, do you like G with 3 fingers or 4 fingers? Let me know down in the comments which way you like it. Let's see. So we have the A minor, E7, G major, and then D major. Okay, and then this next chord, this is another one that you may not know, is F over C. So if we just take not the F bar chord, but just the open chord, which you probably already know, we're going to do that. We're going to take our 3rd finger, we're going to move it from the 3rd fret of the D string to the 3rd fret of the A string, and then we're going to take our pinky and put it on the 3rd fret of the D string. So it's an F major chord with a C in the bass. Just gives it a fuller sound. I like the way that sounds. Chris in Kansas, I like the fuller sound with the pinky added personally. Yeah, I agree. I like that. The reason that I think that it gives it such a fuller sound is the 3 notes that make up a G major chord, or G, B, and D. So when you play it this way, with the B string open, you're getting a G, a B, a D, a G, another B, and another G. So you're getting two threes and 1 5. And what I'm referring to as G, B, and D is 1, 3, and 5, the first, third, and fifth note of the major scale. But when you do it this way, you're only getting 1 B, but you're getting 2 Ds, and so you're getting more 1s and 5s together. So it's almost more like a power chord. It just gives it a nice full thick sound. I really like it. Let's see. So A minor, E7, G, D, F over C, and then regular C, then D minor, and then back to E7 again. So that's actually that's the chord progression for the verse. So A minor, E7, G, D, F over C, C, D minor, and then back to E7 again. So it's a pretty long chord progression. It could probably take you a little bit longer to memorize it than your typical like song that has like 3 or 4 chords in it. So that's the progression for the verse, but it's also the progression for the intro. So the song has this like really cool, iconic sounding intro, and I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video that there are tabs for this in the description. So if you go into the description of the video, there is a link where you can download the tabs so you can follow along. Should have already said that, spaced it. Do that. And then also there's a link down there for those of you who may have not already got it, but we have this really in-depth, cool chord chart that you can download that it's really helpful. Every chord you could ever need all on one sheet, and it's free. There's a link in the description. Just download that. All right, so on the tab, if you get that and you look on the very first page, I have the intro completely tabbed out, and if you play it the way that I've got it written in here, it'll match right up note for note with what they're playing on the original song. But it's quite difficult to play it and not make any mistakes. And because of the way the timing is on and stuff, if you make a mistake, it can really throw everything off. So when I play the intro for it, I don't play it exactly the same way that they're doing. I probably don't play it exactly the same way twice. I just kind of wing it. So when I'll do it like this. So it starts with the A minor, because like I said, it's the same chord progression as it is on the verse. So I'll just start off, I'll just strum, and then I will just start randomly picking strings, but not not like going, just like going straight up or down, like kind of skipping over strings in a rhythmic fashion that kind of matches up with how the song is. So I'll be like, just like that. Now, you see here, there, I didn't do it exactly the same way both times. So it takes a little bit of practice to kind of get the hang of that, just to kind of be able to wing it. And I really encourage you. I mean, it's cool to have those tabs and to like actually learn it the way they play it. But this is really good for your playing, to just be able to kind of wing it like this. So I don't really do it anymore, but I used to do a lot of live performing, and I would fill in like for other bands, like a guitar player couldn't make, was sick or whatever, so I would go and fill in. So a lot of times I would be going and I wouldn't even know what the set was before I got there. And so I kind of learned to adapt myself to be able to kind of wing it. I mean, it wasn't everything that was like really difficult. It was always, just like classic rock or something. So it was fairly simple material. mean, it would be pretty hard to just step in and wing it, through like, Rush or Kansas or something like that. But, just like Tom Petty and the Eagles and, Leonard Skinner and things like that, it's fairly simple to be able to just kind of just fake your way through it. So this is a really good way to kind of to learn that skill. So let's start with the A minor. Then to the E7. So as you can already hear that you can recognize what it is. But I'm not playing exactly what they're doing. I'm just kind of winging it. Then to G, D, to F over C, C. Now there, right on the C, before we go to the D minor is the next chord. So I'll just show you coming from F over C. So I just played the D string open, hammer to the second fret, and then follow that with the open G string. To D minor, to E7, and it goes through that entire sequence twice for the intro, the way they do it, like originally. So another thing I kind of want to do with this is kind of show you how to, an arrangement of the song that you could play solo. So you could play it this way, if it's just you, just you and your guitar, and you're like, sitting around the campfire or whatever, and you can play the song this way. And so we will shorten some of the parts on it, so that way when you're just playing by yourself, you don't have these long extended parts of just the same thing without vocals or another instrument happening, because that it can become kind of stale for the listener fairly quick when it's that way. So when I would perform this, I would go through that whole intro one time instead of twice, and then go right into the verse afterwards. So like from the and just go right into the verse from there. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about what we just went over? I mean, that was quite a bit of material to go over in a short period of time. But you have the luxury of being able to go back and watch it again. You'll have the tabs and everything, so it should be pretty straightforward. But if anybody has any questions about anything that we just went over, feel free to ask, and I will see what I can do to help you. And if anybody's just got any just guitar related questions in general, go ahead and leave those too, because this is, besides working on the song, or else it's just a Q&A. So all right, so now let's take a look at the verse. So the verse starts at the top of page 2 of your tabs. And like I said, it is the same chord progression that we did for the intro. But now, instead of like arpeggiating it, we'll actually be strumming the chords. So there are different ways that you could go about the strumming for this. So how I've got it in the tabs is it's just a really basic. So if you're a beginner or fairly new at guitar, you'll be able to play this. And then as you get better, at strumming and more comfortable with rhythm and everything, then you can alter it. You can change it up, and I'll show you how you can do that too. All right, so for the basic strum pattern that we're using for this, so it's down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So that is one measure. So it's like 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and if you want to count it. 1, 2, and like that. Now, like I said, it's not exactly the same rhythmically, strum that they're doing, but it will work, especially if you're playing by yourself, because it'll reinforce that rhythm that like people can tap their foot to or clap, and that's what regular people want. They want to be able to do that. So that's one measure long, and it takes 2 measures on each chord. So we start with that A minor to E7, G, D, F over C, C, D minor, E7. And then it would just start over again. So with coming out of the intro and going straight into that would be right where the vocals would start, Da, 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 da. It'd go right into that, and it goes through the entire sequence 2 whole times before it goes on to the chorus. So you're just playing the same chords over and over and over again for the first, couple of minutes of the song that that you're playing. So that gives you kind of an opportunity to memorize the chord progression, hopefully a little bit quicker. But again, you have the music, you have the tabs, so you can look at that. Now, as far as what I was saying about alternatives to the strum, so what I'm kind of doing there is just kind of feeling it out, and I want to show you a way that you can figure out how to do this. When I got to the point that I had it out of my mind that everything always had to be this set in stone strum pattern of, so many times down, so many times up, or, whatever. As soon as I got away from that and just went into the whole thing of just feeling the strum out, it really fills things out, especially if you're playing alone. It can make everything sound a lot fuller and more complex than it actually is. So how you can figure out how to do this, and you can do this with anything. I'm just going to use the back of my guitar, but you could use like a, like the kitchen counter, kitchen table. So you probably already all do this at the kitchen table, your kitchen table drummer. How many countertop drummers do I got out there tonight? So if you put a song on, like this song, and you put it on, and then you just start doing tabletop drumming to it. But you don't want it to be something really complex, just something kind of more basic. Maybe you're like, something like that. So what you want to do is write down what it is that you're doing. So like if I'm like right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. You write that down, and then everything that was with your right hand, do a downstroke, and everything that was with your left hand, do an upstroke. Now, that will work that way for most people. But for some people, it's actually going to be the other way around, and they'll have probably started with their left hand. So even if you're right, so your right hand, you're holding the guitar this way, you're strumming the guitar with your right hand. Even though that's the case, it still doesn't necessarily mean that you are completely dominant on your right side. So for my example, we'll look at skateboarding. Not that I'm a skateboarder or ever have been one. I couldn't. I think it's really awesome, but it's like far beyond my skill set to be able to do that. I can't even walk down the aisle in Walmart where they sell skateboards without falling down. So they talk with skateboarding, they talk about what's called being goofy footed. And so what that means is that instead of putting your non-dominant leg on the board and then pushing with your dominant leg, you do it backwards. So you put your dominant leg down and push with your non-dominant leg. Or it's completely opposite of what I just said. I can't remember for sure which way is called goofy footed. But anyway, you can be goofy strummed too. So where that downbeat thing, it might feel better to do it the opposite way. So the easiest way to do it is just figure out the pattern, write it down, and then try it. And then if one way should just feel really natural and the other way should feel extremely unnatural. And if you have to, just try it both ways. It'll be pretty obvious which way is which. And this even goes for where I've seen this most of the time is I've had students before that were left-handed, but they played guitar right-handed. So they were left-handed, but instead of playing it this way, they just played a regular right-handed guitar. So their dominant hand was on the fretboard and their non-dominant hand was picking. They were usually the ones that I found that had the most issue with being goofy strummed. So we went over the intro and we went over the verse, and then we just talked a little bit about some alternative rhythms and strumming and stuff for it. So does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff that we've just gone over? And you're such a quiet crowd tonight. Jersey's always on here talking and stuff, but y'all are making me feel self-conscious and stuff. I'm doing this song because somehow or another the subject, you want me to start up. Start up what? A couple of weeks ago, the subject matter came up to this song, and there was a lot of interest from everybody to go over this song. So that's why I chose it. Yakking, yes, start yakking. And remember, like I said, that this is also Q&A just for guitar-related questions in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be about this song or anything that we've discussed thus far. All right, so if nobody has any questions or anything, then we can move on. The song that we're looking at that shall be remained nameless, but we're calling it Golden State Motel by the Seagulls. Okay, so the next part that we're going to look at is the chorus. So the chorus uses a lot of the same chords that we've already been using in the intro and the verse, but the order is changed up. And then there's another part. It's a little complicated. Well, it's not as complicated as it actually looks on paper. Once you learn how to do it, it's not as complicated, but it's I'll explain when we get there. It's something that I made up and added to this to fill in a spot that was a little empty without there being the bass guitar in it. So I'll explain when we get there. All right, so for the chorus, and we can just keep doing that same strum that we were doing. So we start off with the F over C. And remember, that's one measure. 1, 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 2 measures to C, to D minor. All right, so now this is where the part that I added into it is. So if you look at your transcription, we're on page 3, and we're at the very bottom of the page on measure 23. You can see that there at the beginning of the chorus, it's the beginning of a repeat, and then at the end of the chorus is the end of the repeat. But you can see this measure here has this bracket around the top that says 1. So what I'm explaining here is this has a first and a second ending. So just real quick for those of you that don't understand what that means. So at the beginning of the chorus, we've got the double bar with the 2 dots. So it's like a double bar and a colon. So that's like the beginning of the repeat. And then at the end, we have the colon double bar, and that's the end of the repeat. So this particular piece, where we start there on measure 17, and we play 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, and then we play 23 because it has that 1, that bracket up there around it. And then we go back and repeat. So we go back and we play measure 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And then this time, and unfortunately it's on the next page, so it makes it kind of a pain in the butt to look at. But if we go to page 4, you can see on measure 25 that now there's a bracket over that's a number 2. So what this means is that the second time around, as soon as you play measure 22, you're going to skip measure 23 and go on to the next one, the second ending. I hope that makes sense. If you don't understand, if that didn't make sense to you and you're confused, let me know, and I'll try to explain it better and help you to understand. Okay, so that first ending. Hi, Crit. Better late than never. And just to kind of catch up, there is tabs for this, so get the tabs and you can follow along. We are just working with the chorus right now. So when we get to this first ending, the first chord is A minor. And then the next chord is A minor add 11 over B. And every time I've ever went over this with a student, they look at that chord and they immediately panic. They're like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? That's got a big long name. It's scary. It's actually extremely simple. So to make A minor into A minor add 11 over B, we're just going to take our middle finger and we're going to move it. Right now, when you're playing A minor, your middle finger is on the second fret of the D string. We're going to move it so it's on the second fret of the B string. The rest of the chord stays the same. And then we have a C. So between all 3 of those chords, your first finger doesn't need to move. It just stays there on the first fret of the B string. So the strum here is down, down. So it's a quarter note and then 2/8 notes. So like 1, 2, and then on beat 3, we go to the A minor 11 over B. So we just move our middle finger down 1 string, same strum, 3, 4, and. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Then to a C, 1, 2, and then Again, you're going to want to keep that first finger planted here, even after this. C, and then for beat 3, it's the D string open, and then beat 4 is the 2nd fret. So that whole sequence is. Now, so this part here, in case you're not recognizing it from the song, it's like such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely place. So on the original song, it has that little bass line. Whoops. So what I've done is I've just added that in there, and then just still wanted to keep a chord strumming on top of it. Now, the reason that we want to keep our first finger here after that is because that's the repeat. We go right back to the F over C. So if we keep that finger there, it makes the transition a whole bunch easier. Just like that. Now, for that little section right there, I would recommend actually just practicing it by itself, not to don't just practice the chorus over and over and over again just to work on those 2 measures, because then by the time you have it down, you hate it, you're sick of it. So if you just practice that separately, probably do that. Just do 1 strum of the F at the end, because that whole, you're ending the phrase and then starting it over again there. So just practice that separately. Just like that. So that's our first ending. So after we do then we go back to the first of the chorus. So we're back at measure 17. C to D minor, and then to that second ending, which is just E7. So if you again, you look on that E7, we have 2 measures of that, and then that's the end of the chorus. So as far as the arrangement for it, I'll play through the intro part once, and then I'll play through the verse twice, because that's how long the verse is, and then I'll go through the chorus, and then I'll go back and do 2 verses again, and then a chorus again. And then at that point is the Mirrors on the Ceiling, Pink Champagne on Ice. What I do there, especially like I said, if I'm playing by myself, I'll just play the intro for that part, because you can sing that over that. You can. Mirrors on the ceiling, Pink Champagne on Ice, and she said. You can just go through that whole thing there. And then after that, it goes right back into another verse. And then at the end of that verse is where it goes into the guitar solo. So if you're playing this by yourself, like you're up camping around the campfire, you're not going to do the guitar solo. Even if you knew how to play everything, it's just you haven't got anything to play it over. It's just not really going to work. So what I do is I just go into another chorus and then end it with the chorus, because how the original song does it. It goes into that 45-minute long guitar solo, and that's how it ends. So I just end it with a chorus. So at the, just end on that E7 and then resolve back to the A minor like that. And that's basically how I would do the whole song, like do a solo performance of it. All right, so that is all of the parts for this rendition of Hotel California. And for any of those of you that were not here at the beginning, this is not the way that they play it. Originally, they my understanding is that they're using different chord voices and they're capoed on the 7th fret. When I originally learned it, like I said, how I came about this was because I thought that they were doing it all with bar chords. And I just found it to be much, much, much easier to do it with the capo there on the 2nd fret. And then I was able to add in that little transitioning thing there on the chorus. I have not changed anything. Why? Is there something different happening? Everything should be the same other than minor, bumps to the microphone or whatever, but it should be the same. When I was talking about that, I use like these fill-in gigs. So this one time I was playing a fill-in gig, and this band it was just a girl. She played acoustic guitar and sang, and then she just had other musicians, like I think she probably had different people a lot of the time. I ended up doing a few shows with her, but my friend was her go-to drummer, and he called me one night and said, "Hey, come down to the Eagles Club. We're gonna be playing." And so anyhow, I went and played and filled in. Anyhow, at the end of the night, we had about, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes left before the club was going to close. So me and the other musicians were kind of like, "Oh, what song do you know? What song do you know?" Anyhow, it all came down. We all knew Hotel California. So I was like, "Great, let's do it." Well, I didn't have my capo, and it just didn't even cross my mind that the song was capoed. By the time the club closes, I'd had a few beers and I had just forgot. And anyway, so we started playing the song, and I start playing it. Start playing it like that. The bass player starts playing, and it just sounds terrible because he's trying to play it in the correct key. And he's looking at me all weird, and I'm looking at him like, "What's wrong with you?" And then all of a sudden, everything sounded fine. He just transposed. We played the whole song, and then at the end of it, he said, "Yeah, that was pretty good." He goes, "Isn't that song in B?" And I was like, "Oh, that's right." So it was kind of funny that we ended up playing it the whole way that way. There's always been a difference in audio levels between your playing and vocal, but for me, anyway, your playing is much louder and your audio is lower. That is probably just mostly because the guitar is louder than I am, and it's more level with where the microphone is. It's slightly below. I try to get the microphone like in between as best as I can, but it is what it is, man. Uncle D version of Angie by the Stones. Yeah, that could be arranged. Yeah, that definitely could be arranged. All right. So that is all the parts to my rendition of Golden State Motel by the Seagulls. All right, Crit. Well, I'll see what I can what I can arrange for that. So we still have a little bit more time. So does anybody have any questions about anything that we went over, or just any guitar related questions in general? Oh, that's great, Crit. Oh, that's right. I remember that now, that you were having trouble being able to order it. Good. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. Need to make a new one, some kind of a new course. Haven't done anything for. I think that was the last one I did, and that was like 3 years ago. What have I been up to besides this? Well, remember I said I put my clutch in my car. I've been trying to drive just to kind of get the clutch broke in so it's ready to go, so I can go have some fun with the car. That's providing that I can afford the gas for it. Oh, will for sure, Crit. Will for sure. Yeah, I've done for guitar control. I've done that one, the finger picking one. I've done 2 modules for their chord mastery, one on triads, and I don't remember what the other one was. Something with chords. The thing they do every year. I did a course for them, the 1980s guitar song collection. That's it's pretty long. It's like it's 50 songs, and it came in at like 4.5 hours long. The entire course is, but it's got 50 songs from the 80s, all different styles. There's like stuff like Quiet Riot, Motley Crue, and stuff like that. And there's The Cure and Billy Squier and Midnight Oil. I mean, just a big variety. Pat Benatar, big variety of stuff. Daytime job. Well, technically, it's still daytime where I'm at. This is my daytime job. I teach private lessons. I do the regular YouTube videos for guitar control. I do these live streams for guitar control. And I do repairs and maintenance for people and stuff for their guitars. And that's pretty much is what I do. Yeah, Crit, it's if you go to Guitar Control, guitarcontrol.com, and there's a button that says shop or courses or something. I can't remember. It's in there. They have a 1960s guitar song collection that's also 50 songs. That's not me. That's Will Ripley did that one. It's a really good course. And then there's a 1970s that John McLennan did. It's another 50 songs, really good course. No, I did not hear that. Oh, well, that really sucks. Yeah, I did not. I didn't hear that. Well, that's all right. I figured out what it says. I couldn't have spelled it either. I'm getting to the point where I need one of those belts with my name on it, so that way I can see who I am. All right. Well, if nobody has, oh, I'm sorry, Jersey. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's one that I never heard of before. But there's so many different ones that end with palsy. I know 2 people that have Bell's palsy. One of my best friends has cerebral palsy. So I mean, I know there's a whole bunch of different stuff like that. Oh, well, thank you, Crit. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. So yeah, if anybody here that if you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, because it helps with that whole YouTube algorithm thing that everybody's always talking about. And then it also helps Guitar Control to know that I'm doing a good job and providing a service that you guys like. Affects the brain and eyes. Yeah, that's a bummer. Thanks, Jersey. Appreciate it. Yeah. So for the last couple of weeks, I've kind of haven't really had my crap together, and a lot of things have suffered, including this. So if I'm hoping that I'm kind of going to be back on track. I plan on being here again tomorrow night. Don't know what I'm going to do yet. Haven't figured that out, but I plan on being here. But if I'm not, don't be mad. Stuff happens. But yeah, I plan on trying to be here again tomorrow. And they're publishing new lessons of mine on their YouTube channel this week too. I don't know if that'll be tomorrow, or the next day, something like that. All right. But again, I'd like to thank everybody that came out. And like I said, if you like the content, show me some love, the thumbs up, comments, all that good stuff. After this is over, you can go back on the rerun and you can leave additional comments there that don't show up in the live feed. Get your tabs for the song, get you that chord chart that I was talking about. That it's like really handy. So it's a good thing to have. Yeah. So that is, I guess, all I've got for you tonight, everybody. I really appreciate you coming out and spending your Tuesday evening with me. And I will hopefully see you guys all tomorrow. So thanks again for coming out, everybody. And if you have ideas for things that you'd like to see covered, leave them in the comments. Leave them in the live chat. After this is over, leave them in the rerun. And not just for these. Also, I do those series of videos where it's the subscribers get to choose the riffs that I teach in the videos. I need more ideas for that. So if you have like an idea for a riff that you'd like to learn or whatever, leave that in the comments too. The name of the show, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. That they don't even talk about that anymore. So I don't know. That's good enough for now, I guess. All right. So again, thanks everybody. I hope everybody has a great night, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully.